During the third round at Torrey Pines, the Genesis, I enjoy it when they mic up the players, and McIlroy made a couple of remarks that I thought would be worthy of a quick conversation in the pub. So let's go. The first remark which caught my attention was something he said about a tee shot that had gone awry because he'd hit a couple, in fact, into the left rough. And one particularly, he said he was intending to hit a fade to try to take advantage of the following but left to right wind, and that he hung on too long, and as a consequence of really trying to hit a fade, had not released the club, and as a consequence had hit a pull draw into the left rough. Now, the release point is something worth quickly mentioning because some of the remarks he made might be a little mysterious to some listeners. He was trying to get the ball to turn from left to right, what they call a fade, and that meant that he hung on rather long and didn't release the club. Now, a release is about halfway through the downswing, where you allow the club to pass the hands. Now, there's an interesting factor of golf, which is that things are moving so fast that what you feel happened sooner. And so you feel it halfway down, but it's actually starting a little earlier in the process, a couple of hundredths of a second. That can be at the speed they're swinging, a travel of as much as 3 feet for the hands. So he didn't let the club cross over, and as a consequence, he was pulling the club with the hands leading and tugged it far enough away from the ball that the ball actually hit near the toe. Now, he then said a remark that is worthy of discussion. He said he got a gear effect pull draw as a consequence. A gear effect, particularly with the driver, is when you catch the ball on the outer half of the club face, and just like two gears interfacing, if the club is deflected in this direction by that off-center hit, then the ball is actually going to take on a spin in the other direction. And that gear effect will make the ball draw when you catch the ball nearer the toe. So much was this a factor that when I was doing my apprenticeship and subsequently with regard to repairing golf clubs, we would be very cognizant and interested in the bulge and roll of the club face, particularly with the driver. Irons, of course, have a flat surface, but the woods, and particularly the driver, have roll, which is where the face of the club curves in this direction, where the bottom of the face is actually a steeper face than the top of the club, and the bulge, which is where the club curves in this fashion, where the toe of the club is curving away from the target slightly. Now, the reason is quite simple. If you catch the ball on the toe and you've done it with a club that's curved in this direction, it doesn't put quite as much of that gear effect spin on the ball as it would otherwise have done. And that's also true in the neck, which they talk about regarding the inner half of the club face, where, because it's bulged in that direction, is going to reduce the effect of an off-center hit here, which will actually cut the ball. And so bulge and roll, he caught the ball on the toe, got a draw. And so the other remark that he made that I thought was wonderful was that during the run-up to the beginning of the season here, or early in this season, he had obviously been hitting golf balls at the very private golf course in Florida called Grove 23, named after Michael Jordan's number, where they've got a remarkably varied and professional practice facility with different types of grass, target greens that give feedback, and great champions go there to work on their game. And McIlroy had tested a golf ball that he had not used for a while and found that the spin and the launch were both beneficial to him, particularly with the short clubs. He found it with chipping, but also with his less than full power wedges. And the two features that he found were that he was able, well, the one principal feature was that he could launch the ball a degree lower, believe it or not, they care about 1 degree, and get the same amount of spin that he otherwise would have done with a higher lofted shot. He also thought that he could go with a slightly softer ball and still not lose any spin or power. That's quite illuminating too. So I think for most of us, the takeaway for that is test golf balls almost randomly. You know how you find them and then you try it because it happens to be a pretty new golf ball, and why not? And you'll notice that there is substantial difference in the feel, how soft or hard, and of course the spin and the flight. And so that's how we all come to the conclusion which ball we prefer. It's sort of random, but it's part of the fun.